Okay, we're almost there, so let's review the final stage of the modeling. And this is where the model is almost done, but there is still some work left on the details. And let me show what's new here. I added a lot of stuff, as you can see, and it's basically the same approach, just adding edge loops, moving edge loops, adding polygons and moving points. So this is the final face finger, let's call it like that. And he got some stuff there, kind of like just something what will make it look like it would work. Some extra details on the frame, something what will help to convince that all these mechanics, all these devices will help to this suit to be more operational and rational from mechanical design standpoint. Alright, so let me now show you what I'm doing for really finalizing the piece of mesh. If I want to add the extra layer of detail, I just did a local subdivision refinement. So now I have more polygons here and I can go even more detailed. I just deleted the half of it, so I have a clone, so I can work just on the left side, and it will be all symmetrical. Alright, so right now I'm checking for potential of using an existing edge loops for adding a new details. So it's a really good way of saving your time, because you designing the details not just by where you would want to have the details, but also where your topology already provides you a nice placement, basically a nice topology construction of making new detail. Just like in this case, I already have those edge loops there in place. So all I have to do is to extrude the edge loops and add some extra supporting edges around the corners, just to make sure when you subdivide it doesn't stretch and all look like nice and clean. And moving some extra polygons, add even more interesting stuff to the detail. Kind of like if you would press it, it's gonna open something, or it could be a locker for the faceplate. And for example, this guy has to push it in order to get rid of the mask or something like that. So that's some extra stuff here. Try to make those rectangles more even, and using just scale them inside a little bit more. Alright, so it looks pretty good. We just need to build some support edges in order just to make them a little bit more sharp when we subdivide. At this point, the end of this is really cool. When you have your mesh tight enough where the one single polygon, or like a small group of polygons, stay pretty flat on the surface and doesn't really break surfaces much, you can use triangles, or you can use 5-sided polygon in this case, because the overall angle and overall surface doesn't change as much on this little tiny piece of area. So basically, when you subdivide it, you won't notice any changes as much in terms of the surface. So you can add supporting edges without even without needing to clean it up later. This is a really fun part, because you can just really play with details, add some more stuff, and since you already have the overall look established, you just start to notice how the whole model start to getting more alive. It just really start to gain that character look because of all these small details, and you can think about how it's gonna get shadows later on. It's really, really fun. I really like it. Okay, adding some extra edge loops. That could work. Maybe an extra bevel here. Maybe that the last build didn't work because it would break my surface too much, or just because it's too many pebbles on this little piece of surface. Okay, so what else we got here? Overall looks pretty good. We can still refine this area a little bit. It's a little bit chunky. Could use some more love, so I'm adding extra edges here, and just while I'm selecting this, I'm designing the way I will get my cuts and seams in this piece of armor. It's the process pretty much the same I did on the suit seams. It's exactly the same process. Approach is the same. Okay, let's test it out. Okay, the placement is good and the idea will work, but we need to build some supporting edges so it will work when we subdivide it. Okay, it's getting better. Just keep it going. While we're doing this, I'm trying to get rid of the triangles or n-gons. Just like that, just adding or merging point to a point with which is a part of the n-sided polygon or triangle is going to help you. Make sure we set all those edges. Okay, you see we have the two triangles there and one triangle right here, but as long as it looks good when you subdivide it, we're cool. We could use some work here. It didn't look as good, see? Yeah, initially I thought it would work, but it didn't really work, so I have to add some extra supporting edges here. Even now, if it has the no, now it doesn't have it. Yeah, it's much better. It worked. Alright. Let's apply the same thing to this area. The process is simple, just kind of like a puzzle thing. You're wrapping the edge loop around the edges, trying to keep them consistent, and the distance between the points in the edge loop structure, trying to keep it the same so edge loops go parallel. The reason why you want to do this is because if you won't have it parallel, it's gonna affect the radius of these chamfers during when you subdivide it. It would look all chunky and just not clean and dirty if you do that. This is another thing. You can just select two edges and duplicate them and just extrude them inside of this stuff. Yeah, that could work. Give some kind of mechanical feel to it, even though it will be covered in a shadow and in the render. It brings some subtlety to the whole model. Alright. Okay, I think we're almost done with this plate. Overall looks pretty good. And now I just need to apply the same treatment to all the plates, to the whole model. I'm checking the lights, checking it with the fog and no lights in the scene to make sure the profile works, and I'm happy with the shape distribution. Alright. Okay, and here's the final model. The same detail work I just did to the face plate, I did also on all the big plates of the armor and the helmet, as well as the chest armor. And what else I did is I separated the different meshes based on their material. And the reason why I did this is because I'm gonna import all this stuff. Export all the model into KeyShot, the rendering software. So based on the different material, since all the meshes are separate, I will be able to control the different shading work. You also see I have some bulbs under the glass. I will apply the glass shader, a separate framework as a separate mesh. What else we got? We got some extra metal, some extra pieces on the chest armor, some of the rubber pads between the pieces, some thin rubber, some thick rubber, some of the net, and this is it for the model. So let's do some rendering now.